people are losing jobs. There'll be less income moving around, less money. But if say 7% have no jobs, you still have 80+% who could afford real estate and housing. Really, the backbone of our industry is housing. That's where you can maybe shift gears. If you are maybe handling high-end income condominiums, it's good to shift gears to a different market that you can use. You can make use of, because that's where you have cash flow. Now, I like this word cash flow because this is the essence of survival. If you don't have cash flow today, then you're in trouble. Because if you're going to depend on sales alone, and if they don't come, my father liked to say, children, today we're eating chicken, but someday we might be eating the feathers because we don't have sales. So what I learned from him is to have a business where you can have positive cash flow. Books written by Robert Kiyosaki and all these guys. There are many authors who have written about the importance of cash flow in real estate. Let's move on. Okay, I just picked out 4 important elements about how we can make use of this situation today. Can you see? Anyway, I'll give you copies. There's a demand. Okay, that's important. There's a demand. And demand of real estate will always move. Remember, I've lived through real estate since '72, martial law. I experienced that. I experienced all the ups and downs, cycles in real estate. And at the end of the day, if today we're in trouble, all you have to do is wait. Because that's the advantage of real estate. Time is always to your advantage. And make sure that location. Of course, the 4 elements. Physically, it has to be okay. If it's in, I remember walking up the mountains of Sierra Madre. I love doing that excursion. And until now, the same real estate is there, same value. Since then, it's not moved. But location. Then you have the legal aspects. Our lawyers here can tell you, you might have a beautiful title, but one day you lose it because of a court case or something. Then you have to take care, of course, of your financials and the social, environmental issues. Look what's happening to Subic. This environment is stopping a development there, and the economics. So demand is there. There is always a need for housing. You and I experienced it. I experienced it today. And our friends, my friends and relatives experience it. They always ask, where will I live? I'm moving to Alabang. My children have to go to school and this and that. There's always a question of movement. Oh, my daughter's getting married. She needs a new house. See, growth. That's the important. We're growing. Demand for housing is there. Now, very important in real estate is this. I recall the realtors before, we had huge bags getting all sorts of brochures. This was the years of the battles of the brochures in the 70s, because there are so many condominiums in Makati. I'll carry a brochure of each project. What I learned there was this. It was best to focus. It was when I focused only in the strata 1 and 2. So when sales came in, I just focused on that project. And then the subdivisions of my father. So it's good to focus. It's not, you're carrying an inventory that's too vast. It's good. Maybe you can say, I'm like a sari-sari store. I have my inventory full, and anybody who comes in, walks in, I sell him. But let's face it, who comes to your office nowadays and knocks there and says, I want to buy? It's not that simple. Prospecting is not that simple. Closing a sale is not simple. Good to focus also on your core competence. We have appraisers here, and that's their core competence. Appraisal or consultancy or legal work. Focus on what you're good at. That's why I said earlier, you have to know your strength, your weaknesses, and what you can develop. Even your weakness can be your strength. And that's how we develop our strength, through our weakness. focus on a type of market, a geographical location. You could specialize in the neighborhood that you're in. Door to door, dapat lahat ng kapitbahay kilala. As they say, you have to know what they're having for breakfast. Know them well. Make use of that, because later on, that's your market. That's going to be your next business. Putting up something there that your neighborhood doesn't have. Then support. This is very important. Why? That question was asked in the last meeting. We had the local president boards, and Attorney Mamaril was there. Somebody asking, what is the benefit of being a realtor? And this is very important. You have to. A realtor is a privilege. It's not a right. It's a great honor, and we have to make best use of it. In real estate, we talk about highest and best use. In realtor, it's support. That is, we are a support group in a way. Things that I've learned through seminars. Now I'm trying to learn the computer. Would you believe I'm still illiterate? That's why Ronald's here. I got it. Ronald's my researcher. I have many ideas in my head. I rather hit the pavement. I rather be in heavy eyeball contact with my friends, but don't let me look at the screen. It hurts my eyes. So, since it hurts my eyes, I don't use it. But I'm managing. I have my website. I answer emails, and definitely the person behind that email is somebody else typing it. That's why love letters are dangerous. But I dictate them. Okay, PAREB support group, tutorials, learn. I'm gonna have tutorials on the ABCs of computer. So, see, there's something new to learn. I learned this from A.U. Valencia, amazing. He came to me once, he was about 80. He said, with his brilliant eyes, with the sparkle in his eyes, A.U. Valencia, the father of Rod, tells me, I know how to do computers, I'm so good at it, and then he shows me his new laptop, and he was there playing, and wow, when I saw that from A.U., I was touched. And I said, this is what keeps him young, that he has something always new to learn and new to do. If you want to survive, try something new, even if it's learning a new skill, a new art that you can use in real estate. Definitely, being a good dancer is also useful in real estate. And networking. Essence of networking is this. Because survival means keeping your overhead low, right? You want to keep your overhead low, you're not going to stuff yourself with people that you pay salary every month. It will be very dangerous. If you can operate as a one-man show, fine. Invest in technology. You have everything there. Press the button, you come out with a information sheet, you fax it to your client, you email it, you have a nice website, you make sales. Technology is the way to go because you're in control. And then, you outsource the rest. Outsourcing, di ba? Uso yan. Okay, alliances, synergy, services, partnership, cooperation, cooperatives, association, in association with. Now, it's very easy that sometimes I meet people, my realtor friends, and then we meet a client, and always the introduction is my associate. Di ba? Or my partner. Accepted na yun. But make sure, cuentas claras from the beginning. Because kung hindi cuentas claras, ay, naman ka naman sa komisyon eh, ano ba to? Hindi, ako gumawa ng trabaho eh. Then trouble. So, from the beginning, cuentas claras, conserva amistad. Conserves friendship. Okay. Strength. Identify what you're good at and work on it. Weakness. Improve. I will make a confession. I have a weakness. I have dyslexia. Can't read. And because of dyslexia, I finished my elementary in 10 years, grade 6, at LaSalle Green Hills. It was only after that that they discovered such an animal. And in LaSalle, you're forced during my years to write with your right hand while I'm left. So I'm ambidextrous. I write with both right and left now. But because of that, since I had to excel in something in school to pass, I always raised my hand for oral, since I couldn't write. And that's how I developed my oral skills. Because because I couldn't write and read. So I joined the oratorical contests, and I was in plays and acting and all that, and I enjoyed it. But it never bothered me that I couldn't read too well or write. And it became a strength. Opportunities are there, just work on it. You see, it's amazing how what you have in front of your nose. And sometimes, since my nose is so long, sometimes I can't see. So it's a disadvantage. But once, I was in the same building, my neighbor was right there. I didn't know that he needed the unit beside us. That was for rent. It was advertised there, even the ground floor. It didn't occur to me that he wanted it. That was quite challenging. And then when I found that he leased it to another broker, sakit na sa manloob mo, no? Or your own friend or relative buying a condominium that you have. What's the insult? I didn't do my homework. So it's good to always circulate, see and be seen. If you're not there, you'll be disappearing. That's why when I was in the hospital, all I did was text. This was my best exercise because I couldn't move my legs. So I used whatever I could. I used 3 T's. 3 T's. My telephone, my text, and one more. No? My telesecretary. Telephone, telegraph, telewoman. Okay, threats. There are threats, but the worst threat that I could say is one's self. The only fear that you should have is fear itself. Don't let that cloud your mind. If the minute we have a fear in our mind, erase it. One that would stop us from going out there, the streets, and selling. We get discouraged, natapa tayo, napatid. We get up, begin again. It's always begin again and begin. That's what sportive spirit is. Let's look at this year as a sportive spirit. Like a good bullfighter, since the guy out there is an ox, might as well, he might come charging at you. So you know how to parry, but with a sportive spirit. The threats of fear, negative things and all that. That's why I avoided putting problems in the board and never blame government. Everybody loves to blame government. Ignore government. Yes. What I, you know, if you're going to think who's going to win, if I'm going to be here and there, you're never sure. So the Italians change government very often. In Rome, in Italy, and they change government. In other countries also. If we're going to be talking 50% of the time about politics, and that we can't control it anyway, at the end of the day, you see, in appraisal I learned 2 things: what's curable and incurable, right? If it's incurable, let's well ignore it and stick to what you can control. And then, if you're lucky, your manok wins, okay, you have a place in the cabinet, I don't know, or your compadre. At the end of the day, it's important, it's who you know. But ignore it. You cannot say, but since this bill, the RIP, has been waiting for it to be approved since, wow, I recall, Real Estate Investment Trust, 1972, Jobo Fernandez, Far East Real Estate Investment Trust, fair right. Marbella 1 and 2, buy one, use all. That was supposed to be a RIP. It never got approved in Senate or Congress. We still have our RIP bill pending until now. So we have to make a SWOT analysis for ourselves. Spend time alone. Go to a retreat. Think about it. Take 2 steps back. Think about your career, your family, what's more important for you. Then learn from the past so you'll know what to do in the future. But don't let the past cloud you or do something that will say, well, since I got burned before, that's it, I won't touch it anymore. No. I loved playing with fire when I was a child. I got burned so many times. I got my electrocuted. I got everything, but I still continued. It didn't stop me from playing with fire. Okay. No one sells. What have I done well? Examine yourself. What have I done well? What was the magic there? And work on that. What went wrong? Know what went wrong. How can I improve? Even if it's just little things. By the way, the essence of life is little things. Don't get lost with the imagination that I'll be great. I'll make millions. I'll make billions. Oh, what is the 100,000 peso income that I can make this week? Little things. How can I achieve this goal? Is it going to be a listing, a sale, a service? Then make your targets something that is within reality. Then obstacles and stumbling blocks that I've experienced and how I can overcome these difficulties. Like I said, many times difficulties are in our imagination. Next slide. Okay, now I want to talk about the holistic approach to survival. That's why I said earlier, the spiritual aspect is very important. I spend a few minutes every day in meditation, and that's where I get my energy. Learning to abandon everything to God, spend some time in prayer. Because at the end of the day, really, from where we start, where we began when we were born, to when we're going to end. That's the whole meaning of life. That's why sometimes we feel our profession, we don't find meaning or purpose in what we're doing. We feel like we're facing a blank wall and we want to climb it. It's because maybe there's no meaning in what we're doing. But if we find meaning in what we're doing, then we enjoy it. There's a sparkle in our eyes, a smile in our face, and we go out there like a good athlete. We have to be warriors of the streets. Pedestrian in some way, but we know our land. That's how you make business. Okay, essence. That's really essence of happiness. Because the essence of happiness is what we have inside. We can't fake that. We can't fake a salesman's smile that finally hurts his cheeks and then he has a perpetual smile because it's been totally stretched and doesn't feel like it. Power of the mind is very important. The intellect and the will. Intellect is the light when you see the good, and the will is the strength to go for it. Overcome fears, negative thoughts. I will say that. And then imaginations, emotions. The day we get too emotional about something, step back. If we're very mad at somebody, keep your mouth shut first. Lock yourself out. You like you shout there, but not in front of the guy. Because magsisisi tayo. Sometimes, we can say something that we regret, and then we can't go back anymore. Be happy because it's contagious. If you're happy, we smile, it's contagious. And your client will buy because he says, yes, 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 yes. When you know, so mag-yes rin siya. Bibili. But if it's negative, how bad it is today, the traffic, the obvious na traffic, so why rub it in, no? So instead of the traffic, have you seen the clouds, how beautiful they are? You know, how they float in this sky when the car is stuck. Buti pa yung clouds, magalaw, ako nakapanood. Or listening to the music, so on and so forth. So there's always a good side in something. Door closes, the window opens. But not at night, because may akyat bahay kang Okay, keep a business and keep your mind open. Listen to others. You know, I love listening to the common people. You know, survivor. Yung nagkano na, I have near my home, somebody lives in the Marqueta. Once in a while, I talk to them, how they survive, and this and that. It's amazing. Sometimes they have something they have enough to share with everybody. And that for me is very important. I learn more from that family living in the Banqueta in the Cariton than any other book I've read. And talking to taxi drivers, different drivers, you have to listen to people, no matter what level they are. You've always something to learn from everybody. How they manage with 50 pesos a day. Just because they were able to pick up a few bottles that they were able to sell, and so on and so forth. Be confident with oneself, and then keep an open mind. Finally, read, study. Ito, importante ito, study. Don't think that just because you've been in real estate 10, 20, 30, 40 years, that I'll stop studying. Yung CEP, importante yan. Yung Continuous Education Program, don't take it lightly. We just finished our CEP. I sat in the class of Rod Leonen, appraiser, and I learned some things. And I learned also from, we have a new board member in our Manila board. His name is Rom Laksamana. He's the assistant assessor of Manila. And I was really enjoying myself in his talk. He was talking about salesmanship, and I thought, well, I know, I have read all the books about sales, but it's different coming from him. How he started. He was a self-made man, and his story and this and that, and it was so candid. I enjoyed it. And definitely, study. Study is not just reading books, but also listening to people with experience. Okay, let's go. And then, so, this I think favorite topic of many people. Sleep, eat, and exercise. Not necessarily having sex, but if we don't sleep well, then you're in trouble. Your mind is clouded and all that. That's why you're going to spend time at night just watching television. Forget it. It's not worth it. You won't even remember what you watched. Or, that's why I said, no TV in bedrooms, out. That's a rule of thumb if you want. It's hard. Unless you're the type who likes to keep the TV on and that's how you fall asleep. Then, or check with a medical doctor. Okay, eat properly, nutritious food. Always, because without proper nutrition, then you're gonna get ill somehow. It's gonna hit back at you. So, and then of course exercise. Because stress is our killer. And the only cure to sex is exercise. Or sorry, the only cure to exercise. Stress. No, because Nelson keeps on smiling there. I caught him.
For us to keep awake and
Okay. Next. Wow, that's long. Okay, bottom line ito kasi 13 yan, pero bottom line.
13.
Keep it simple. Low overhead and cash flow. Who among you here have a fixed income? Monthly. Fixed monthly income. Who? One? Very few. Yun. Rental, fast food. Very good. Dormitory. Apartment. Because you can sell at least pangbayad ng gasolina or food or some other things, right? Fixed monthly. And if you don't, maybe for this year, plan out a business where you can have a fixed monthly income. What I do is I have a dormitory and I have retainers from some corporations and I sit in boards of corporations and not enough to cover my medicines and my board and lodging. See, I've covered it. And then the rest, the gravy, is for my business. At least I got my back covered. I'm a very expensive person to maintain. So, maintenance ko mataas eh. Pero, I had it covered right away. That was my plan from the time I retired in 2006. I retired in 2006 and immediately what came to my head, okay, fixed income and work on that. So we have to cope. These things, of course, you can read and then I'll go fast. Lean and mean, positive cash flow, have a budget. These things you know. Savings, if we don't have a special savings, we're in trouble. The best thing I ever invested in was my health care. When I was 40, I immediately got a good health insurance policy. Little did I know, a few years after, I really suffered. But talagang ginatasan ko yung insurance. They paid everything. And I was lucky. Then, away from debts, and don't use credit card to pay a debt for a debt. No? You dig yourself real deep. Avoid that. If you're in that situation, consult a good financial man. Two professionals that help me a lot, and I need that all the time. It's a lawyer and an accountant. Without those two legs, it's very difficult for me to move on in my business. My Waterloo in the past has always been a poor lawyer or a poor accountant. Since I wasn't very good in both of them, my strength was different. Not accounting nor law. So I was in economics and marketing, so I needed these two professionals. And they're the ones who helped me in my business. My lawyer and my accountant. Then communicate properly with professionals. There's nothing wrong asking. Sometimes nahiya tayo, no? We don't ask questions. How can you be, 20 years ka na sa real estate, you still don't know that? And sometimes we forget. We forget things. Ask. Then, keep relationships healthy. It's very important. Mahirap. It's hard to make a friend, but it's so easy to make an enemy. It's so hard to keep things united. It's so easy to divide. The easiest thing to do is to break something, but to put it together, sometimes it's impossible. So, gel relationships well, especially your relationships with your co-realtors. And if there's something wrong, there's any grievance, clear it out as soon as possible. Don't let it sink in a quicksand, sort of, that you cannot work backwards anymore. So any conflict, or if there's a hostile environment, walk away from it. Life is too short to make it complicated. So walk away from it. That's how we can survive. I had to walk away from many situations, very painful. I founded an appraisal company, and then I had to give it up and start again, all over again, from zero, after running it for 28 years. It's painful because it was my thesis. And I started with my father, but when my father passed away, I got sick. Things changed. But it made me a better man. It's not so much of what one has or one owns, but what one is. That is important for survival. Keep relationships and then set up your core business. Okay, so I placed there some examples: sari-sari store, computer shop, loading centers, water, anything that will give you cash flow. This I learned from my grandmother. Ramon, real estate is only bueno, bonito, barato. Only that. Live like that. Bueno has to be good location. Bonito, the quality has to be fine, and barato, those of you who are Ilocanos will understand that. Barato. Barato. Value for money, and nowadays there are bargains. May mga bargain na. I realize, since I'm monitoring prices, there's a downward trend. I can see discounts, I can see balloon payments. You present value it, so they're 30% off. Banks are getting aggressive again in trying to liquidate some assets. Not that foreclosures have gone up, but there will be mergers and acquisitions, and therefore they have to get rid of redundant branches, like what happened to Equitable and Paco de Oro. Finally, we'll end now with another thing that I love here, my peace. We have to have purpose in what we're doing. That's how we will survive. Meaning and purpose. Then, personality. Develop one's personality, one's character. If there's any defect that you think you have because of your SWOT analysis, study. English proficiency is very important, and if you can learn a second language, so much better. And if you ask me what language, I'll say Chinese. Because really, China will play a very, very important role in our economy. And since we know already English, might as well focus on something else. In Asian language, Japanese or Korean. Plan your life well. Plan. Unless we plan, if we wake up the day, for example, one morning, we wake up and we tell ourselves, what am I going to do today? Okay, we're in trouble. Dapat paggising mo, alam mo na eh. And to wake up on time and at a fixed time. And I say wake up means to get up of bed. If you're going to make Kamo Chan for another 2 hours, we lost. The early bird catches the first bird. If you pwede Kamo Chan 2 oras going around the bed, it's nothing's going to happen anyway. So, again, a sportive spirit. A sportsman will get up and really do his exercise and hit the shower cold and decide and work out there and feel fresh and start the day. Plan people. Have people around. See, remember that song? People
People who need people.
Diba? Totoo yun. We need people, we need family, we need people around us. Just, have you tried embracing a child and feel the energy there? That's what gives meaning to what we do. Just a hug. A little hug can mean so much. Chicken soup of the soul says so much about that. Promotion. Well, how do we promote ourselves? If we're not known and we don't advertise, we don't have a website, then we don't exist. Develop already a website. First thing I did when I retired was to put up a website. Patience. Patience. So, a big sale I made once took me 4 years. Hindi pa pasyensya na lang. 4 years. Hemingway, I believe, wrote a book on the old man and the sea. It's a beautiful book. It's about this old man every day going out there in the sea, hoping to catch his big fish, and the patience he had. It's very graphic of what life is all about. And that book, if you can get hold of it. Another book that's wonderful is Mr. Viktor Frankl. He wrote about man's search for meaning. He was in the concentration camp. He was tortured. He was everything, but he survived. And how did he survive the concentration camp? How did he survive all the torture? Viktor Frankl. His love. I jumped to the end. His love for his family. He kept on thinking that he was starving, they starved him, days without eating, but he survived because of love. And it's true, Viktor Frankl's book became a Nobel Prize winner on man's search for meaning. So you see, all of that is perseverance, prudence, and of course, I love the word passion. Unless we do things with a passion, like I said, then we don't have passion in what we love to do, which is real estate. And if you don't love real estate, then we're in the wrong profession. Because you have to love it. You have to have a passion for it. But again, like your eyes show it, hindi plastic. So again, I'll end by saying that it is my love in my life. Oh, I forgot. Ronald was getting tired na kasi. The pain started coming. But anyway, let's see. Conclusion. Purpose and meaning of life. I was talking about Mr. Frankel. Make best use of life. Life is holistic. Everything goes with it. Enjoy a happy lifestyle. Kung hindi tayo happy sa lifestyle, then check. Tighten the bolts, so to speak. Review. Bring it to your meditation. Go to a retreat and then maybe come up with a conclusion. Sometimes the hustle and bustle of life clouds our minds. Too much noise. It's good to keep some time in silence and listen. The song of the sound of silence. It's true. There is sound in silence. It's a voice that talks from your heart. It's a voice that you hear in your mind. It echoes in your ears. And sometimes that's how you learn the wisdom of the Spirit. Treasure your family, your loved ones. Find fulfillment in what you do and enjoy being a realtor. Maraming salamat. I'm open for questions. Is there questions?
Any questions from the floor? Thank you, Realtor Cuervo, for that very enlightening talk. May I ask our President to give our plaque of appreciation to our guest speaker?
Thank you, Ramon Cuervo. I enjoyed your speech, your lecture. I like the part my wife is giving birth tomorrow. I follow your teachings. Okay, Pasay-Makati Realtors Board presents this plaque of appreciation to Realtor Ramon Cuervo, President of Manila Board of Realtors, President of RF Cuervo, Licensed Real Estate Appraiser, Licensed Real Estate Consultant. In grateful acknowledgement and appreciation for the time, expertise, and knowledge extended to the Pasay-Makati Realtors Board as its guest speaker. Given this 27th day of January 2009, Max Restaurant, Glorieta 1. Signed by yours truly and Attorney Nelson Arquiza. Thank you.
If one becomes more progressive and works harder for every child that's born.
Go like 13.
Make it 13.
13. Go.
Thank you very much. Thank you.